Hi boys and girls, I'm back again with our Frog and Toad Are Friends book. I'm ready to read our third story and I have Teddy here with me and we're going to practice our retelling hand again. I'm going to review it again. Remember, this is our characters, this is our setting, our beginning, middle, and end. And this is the heart of the story where we make our connections. We connect to another book, we connect the story to something that happened to ourselves, or we connect to something that happened in our world. Now remember, after I read the story, I want you to retell the story to someone at home. You can retell it to yourself. You can retell it to a stuffed animal. Retell it to somebody though, okay? So here is our story, and it is called A Lost Button. Toad and Frog went for a long walk. They walked across a large meadow. They walked in the woods. They walked along the river. At last, they went back home to Toad's house. "Oh, drat," said Toad. "Not only do my feet hurt, but I have lost one of the buttons on my jacket." "Don't worry," said Frog. "We will go back to all the places where we walked. We will soon find your button." They walked back to the large meadow. They began to look for the button in the tall grass. "Here is your button," cried Frog. "That is not my button," said Toad. "That button is black. My button was white." Toad put the black button in his pocket. A sparrow flew down. "Excuse me," said the sparrow. "Did you lose a button? I found one." "That is not my button," said Toad. "That button has 2 holes. My button had 4 holes." Toad put the button with 2 holes in his pocket. They went back to the woods and looked on the dark paths. "Here is your button," said Frog. "That is not my button," cried Toad. "That button is small. My button was big." Toad put the small button in his pocket. And he looks pretty sad. Think about a time when you've lost something and how you feel. I bet you can make a text to self connection right there. Toad put the thin button in his pocket. He was very angry. He jumped up and down and screamed, "The whole world is covered with buttons and not one of them is mine." Toad ran home and slammed the door. There, on the floor, he saw his white, 4-holed, big, round, thick button. "Oh," said Toad, "it was here all the time. What a lot of trouble I have made for Frog." So it was there in the house the whole time. Toad took all the buttons out of his pocket. He took his sewing box down from the shelf. Toad sewed the buttons all over his jacket. The next day, Toad gave his jacket to Frog. Frog thought that it was beautiful. He put it on and jumped for joy. None of the buttons fell off. Toad had sewed them on very well. And what do you think? The end. That was so nice of him to do for his friend. I want you to think about everything that happened in this story. And I want you to think of the retelling hand. And I want you to think of the the characters, the setting, everything that happened in the beginning, everything that happened in the middle, and everything that happened in the end. Now remember to be very specific with your details when you're doing your retelling of the beginning, the middle, and the end. And remember to make your connection. I'll see you next time for our next story. Bye, boys and girls.